SML, what's up? How we doing? Welcome back to the most fun time of the season. Heat check's here, and that means it's SML playoffs time. I'm joined by my regular co-host and season one champion, the Mad Bomber. What's going on, dude?
Oh, I'm excited. This is where we get all the good matchups. Most of our games get commentated. I think the last two off seasons we've had commentated games almost the entire playoffs. So this is definitely when SML football picks up.
Yeah, absolutely. A ton of fun to watch. Always great storylines. We got a lot of good matchups on tap. So let's take a look at these and let's make some picks.
All right, so we'll go with the AFC first. And in the AFC, first game we've got is the Raiders against your Bills. Jay Smoove ends up sneaking into the 6th seed, or no, I believe he's the 7th seed.
hmm Yeah, I think I took the
Yeah,
2 seed
yeah, you
from
took the
Prime in
2
week
seed. That's right,
18.
because of the loss. So
Yep.
he's the 7th seed. You're the 2 seed. You guys played this season, didn't you?
We did not actually. I've never
Oh,
played I've never played Jace Move. I've played Spades.
okay. That's who I was thinking.
Yep.
I initially thought you were going to be matched up with him, but you got Jay Smoove after Prime couldn't quite pull it off against Noel. So being a first matchup, I think that's going to be tough for you. But I mean, it's the Bills. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have you as the favorite here. So I'm going to go with the Bills here as the 2 seed.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of playing somebody for the first time in a win or go home game. I usually like to have some tendencies or an idea. I have none of that. We're going in blind. I know he likes to pass. We have similar teams. And obviously, Rodgers and Allen, the only two quarterbacks with gunslinger. A lot of passing weapons. Really bad running backs. So it'll be an interesting game to watch. It'll be an interesting game to play. That's for sure. I'm definitely going to pick myself, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the first game against the old Dunkarooski here.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. I think it might be closer than I would normally think it would be, just because there's that lack of familiarity or even
Yeah.
having played him at all. But I think you'll adjust and get by the Raiders. The next one, and this could be a shootout, although Prime's been playing a lot better defense, but Spades has not. We've got the Ravens traveling to Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs. Spades versus Prime. What do you have in this one?
Yeah, so this one's Prime all the way for me. Like you said, Prime has started to figure things out a little better on defense. Spades' defense is a bit questionable at best. So he's going to be able to score some points, but I think ultimately he's going to make one or two mistakes in this one, and Prime's gonna make him pay, especially with Brian Whitfield running as well as he is. That offense has been on fire the last little bit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Prime as well. I think just from playing Spades, I think I've played him 4 times now, and he becomes a little predictable. He's got his small set of plays that he likes to run, especially when he gets into certain situations. You almost know what's coming, and Prime is really good at kind of identifying your tendencies, especially if it's something you duplicate multiple times during the game. If you only do it once a game, it may take him a couple games to catch on. But if you're doing it every other drive, I think Prime catches on really quick. And I'm sure he's got people in his ear giving him tips. He's reaching out in DMs. Hey, what do you know about the Ravens? And I think he's going to be ready for it. But I think it's still going to be a high-scoring game. Spades, just from playing him, he puts up a lot of points, and he also gives up a lot of points. So it's going to be it's going to be whichever team flinches first. I think Prime. I think he's leading the league in turnovers by like a ton. I think I looked last time and he's got like 40 something interceptions and
yeah, Tyrann Mathieu going insane in the stats. I think he has like 16 picks.
Yeah, so with all those turnovers, and I don't think Spades is going to be able to stop him too often. I think Prime's just going to have so many chances. He's going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to our third game, and this is I think it's pretty obvious again who it's going to be. We've got the Chargers at the Jaguars. I think they call themselves the Super Weenie Hut Junior division, and once again they're in with a losing record. Didn't think it was possible the first time, but they did it again. I'm going to pick Dan. I know he's struggled. Coop actually played me really well when we played just 3 games ago. He can play really well, but Coop's one of those guys, if he starts getting down, he kind of gets down on himself and starts to snowball. I know he hates Trevor Lawrence's release, and you got to play a good game to beat Dan, and I don't know if he's got quite that good a game in him. He could surprise people. Like I said, he took me to overtime. It was not an easy game, but I just think Dan in the playoffs is going to be more prepared, and he's going to probably take this one fairly easily.
Yeah, so on the point of Trevor Lawrence's release, I can tell you why he hates it. Playing with Lawrence in another league, that boy, he takes 45 minutes to load up and throw that football. It is painful at times, and you can see it with the numbers: 29 touchdowns, 38 picks, and I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the storyline in this one. Dan has struggled towards the end of this stretch. He is not playing his A game right now. I know that he would attest to that. But if there's anybody you can kind of count on to right the ship in the playoffs in a big game, it's going to be Dan. I think that this one's going to be closer than most people might expect. They might see, Dan versus, an under 500 team and just immediately think, all right, Chargers in a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Coop has a good defense, very underrated defensive user. But I think in the end, Coop's going to make, just one or two extra mistakes that, he can kind of be counted on to make each game. I think that's going to do him in what will probably be a kind of a sloppy, low-scoring slugfest. But I'm going Chargers.
Yeah, I think something to pay attention to is how Travis Etienne does.
Yeah.
Because if Coop can get him going, he can keep it close, and then, one score game coming down the wire, anything can happen at that point. It just depends who has the ball last, and he's just got to get that run game going. But I'm not sure he can do that. I'm going to go with
that. He can't go to the pass game too early in this one. He's got to run the ball if he wants a shot in this.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to clear out the AFC. Let's go to the NFC. And in the NFC, we've got the Saints at the Cardinals, the Packers at Washington, and the Seahawks taking on the Panthers, who backed into the playoffs. Despite a loss, they won the division. We'll start with the first game, Saints-Cardinals. You've got Dump coming in as the 2 seed, had a little bit of a down year compared to last year. And then Klink, this is his second appearance in the playoffs. I think he made it again. He made it the first season as well. So
he did, yeah, won a game as well.
What do you think in this game, Saints versus Cardinals?
Yeah, it hurts my soul to always, to have to pick against a Thanos Club member. But right now, Klink he's just not doing it on offense. He sputtered a little bit. He lost week 18 to Paulie. He's turning the ball over a lot with Cole Proctor. The Cardinals are not a team that you can afford to do that with. Obviously, we know Klink can play defense. He can shut down the run. But I think that Kyler Murray, just with his ability to make big plays happen, even when the offense might not be going as smoothly as usual, I think Dump's going to strike with a couple big plays. And right now, I just don't know that Klink's offense is in the spot where he can stop it enough to get the win here. So I'm going to go with Dump in round one.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go with the same. I've got Dump, and sort of for the same reason. I think this is probably the worst matchup for Klink in the NFC. Because Dump is a guy that's got a really good offense. His defense is okay, but it's his offense that really gets him to where he's at. And I don't think Klink can keep up, even though his defense is really good. I played against him. I thought his defense was great, but I don't think his offense scored a touchdown. It was all on defense. Like Cole Proctor's holding him back. Maybe next season he gets him developed a little bit more, gets a little better accuracy. But right now it's like he's playing with Dwayne Haskins. The passing game is a liability. It's not scaring anybody, and that's holding back Kamara. It's holding back his weapons. He's still getting some decent stuff with Hardeman on some streaks or some big crossers. But man, if you're Dump, you're looking to take that away and make Proctor throw the ball 30 times because you know it's going to be bad.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just putting his opponent in too many short fields. That's really what it comes down to. His defense is great, but if you're consistently starting drives, at the 40, at the 30, you're going to score points.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the worst matchup for him. I think any other team, I might even have picked him because of that defense. It's just
I think any other team in the first round, I'd agree with you. I'd have him in that.
Just too many weapons on the Cardinal offense that they're going to score, and I'm not confident that the Saints offense can get enough going to keep up with them. But that being said, if Dump gets into one of those games where he starts chucking the ball around and gets a little too complacent with it, I could see Klink taking a couple back and making it a game and giving him a chance. All right, so moving on. Next one is Packers and Washington. Packers got in with the tie, and Washington kind of ran away with that NFC East. I'm gonna go with the Packers here. We've seen Monty kind of get to the end of games. He's had trouble closing them out, but I think maybe in the playoffs he'll be a little more focused, a little more paying attention. Maybe we don't see the taking knees with no timeouts. The whole tiny debacle. I think maybe he's learned from it a little bit. I would bet we're not going to see apparently 3 quarterback sneaks with no huddle, but I think the
Yowza.
Packers might sneak this one out. Washington's been playing really well with his defense. Between Young getting all those sacks, he picked up. Was it Abukum he picked up? He's already got some sacks. Just getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but I don't know if he's ready for that Monty offense, who's plays pretty well. It gets rid of the ball fast, which kind of takes away those pass rushers. That advantage is going to be kind of gone. He's got Mac Jones, so he's not waiting for anything deep to open up anyway. It's a lot of short stuff. Maybe NYT can counter it, but I think it's going to be the Packers in this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild game, just because I think every game that Montezun, whatever his name is, whatever Monty seems to play seems to just go completely off the wall. Every game I've played of his is completely wild, including the last game he played against NYT, where I think NYT started the game off by throwing like 3 straight picks. I think 2 of them for 6. He might have fumbled in there. Like, he was just giving the ball back to Green Bay every time he touched it. Monty ended up with a huge lead, and he blew it, and I believe he lost the game. So, I mean, these guys, anything can happen. I'm taking the football team in this one. I think he has a better defense, and right now, the way he's running with Antonio Gibson, Montezuma is a terrible, terrible, terrible stopper of the run. I've had my issues with the pursuit angles and the tackling. Monty takes it to a whole new level. The Packers are they're diving all over the field, left and right, here and there. You never know. If Gibson starts getting going, if NYT can limit the throws to the wrong team with Love, which is a lot easier said than done, I think he's going to have this one. And I don't know. I can see this one being a blowout either way, but I think we're going to see NYT run away with it.
Yeah, definitely. It can depend on which of each guy. I mean, both of them have been kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde this season.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all over the place.
You had Washington, he comes in at what, 12-5, I think is his record. One of those losses is a blowout loss to Tiny where he got shut out. I just don't even get it. So, I mean, it depends who shows up. I think in this one, maybe Monty pulls it out, but like you said, he's been in that position before where he's had a big lead and choked it away multiple times this year. So I'm going to go with him. I think maybe lightning can't strike 37 times. So maybe this time is the one. Our third game, Seahawks against the Panthers. Who you got in this one?
So this one I have the Seahawks. I think it just comes down to Chris Carson's too good. If anybody in the NFC is going to have a run defense to stop the guy, it's probably the Panthers in that front. But the Panthers then also still have to play some offense, and that hasn't gone that great this season or last season. So I'm going to take Chris Carson in the tank. I think he's just going to run all over the field, and the Seahawks are going to win this one.
Yeah, I had my issues with Woods last season where he got me in the playoffs once, but only once. Other than that, it wasn't very close most times. And this Panthers team, God, that quarterback situation is awful. I know it's a rookie and he's got to develop him a little bit, but man, throwing like 49 interceptions or something like that.
It's a lot.
He's near the top. And I don't think you can afford to do that with a team like the Seahawks where it's going to Carson. Carson's going to run it. And he's been pretty efficient with Wilson as well. So he's not giving you extra opportunities with the ball. And I think the fact that Woods will give you those extra opportunities, I'm going to go with Noel here. And maybe Noel's back. I mean, the two of us, we only saw Noel last season or last cycle. And Noel last cycle was not good. And all we heard was, he had a running back, and that's why Tampa was good the cycle prior. But he's got a running back now that's pretty good. So I think at least for this cycle, you can blame it on him having a running back, but I think he's back.
Yeah,
I know Meats doesn't want to give him any credit because he keeps breaking his heart or something. But 12-5, or no, he's 13-4, I think.
Yeah, he tied Dump for the division lead.
He just can't seem to get by Dump, which is going to be a problem being in the same division. But if that's your only hurdle, hell, you can lose them twice and still get the 1 seed with 2 losses. So I think Noel's back. I'm willing to say it now. I don't know what back looks like, but I know what last cycle looked like, and this ain't it. He's playing a lot
Yeah,
better.
it's better than last cycle, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
So
So
I'll take Seattle in this. Okay,
yep.
so let's do some kind of predicting the future here, and we've got that would make where I play Prime, you would play Dan in the AFC. How do you see those games going?
Well, I'll start with you and Prime. Obviously, I've been on record in the last couple shows I've been on that I think Prime is playing not just the best football in the AFC, but the best football in the league. I think right now he's on a different level offensively. His defense has been good enough that it's made enough stops and stolen the ball away enough times that it's too much to overcome. So I'm gonna take him in that one. I think right now he's my favorite. So I think, spoiler alert, he ends up representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. As far as me and Dan, obviously, Dan has had my number quite a bit in the past, as many people like to remind me consistently, him being one of them. I do think that I felt pretty good in our game last season. Obviously, the fumble kind of derailed me. Matt Breida will not be seen in this game, so that makes me feel pretty good, and I'm going to take myself on that one.
All right. Yeah, I think the you versus Dan, not just the fact that I think you're playing better than Dan is overall, but Dan's coming in losing what 5 of the last 6. I mean, he's
It's a lot.
struggling right now, and regardless of who you're losing to or what's going on, and if it's the playoffs, turning it on after being on a losing streak like that, it's not just going to like snap right back. He didn't even look good in the game against Figs. Didn't look good.
Yeah.
Just lost to Dump. Not that that's a terrible loss, but as much as you talk about it before the game, you can't lose that game. And
Yep.
5 out of 6, regardless, is not the streak you want to come into the playoffs with. So I'm going to take you over Dan. It's not like you haven't beat him before or can't beat him, so it's
Right.
not a situation like that anyway. I think you're going to pass all over him, and I think he's even missing his linebacker, so that's going to be a knock for him to try and overcome anyway.
Yeah,
As
it's a
for
big
me
loss.
against what's that?
That just agreeing with you. That was
Oh.
a big loss, the linebacker.
Yeah, that one hurts him a lot, I think. As for me in Prime, I think you're right. I think Prime is playing really well right now. And I think it's going to be tough to stop him. He's starting to figure out what he wants to do on offense. It's starting to look a little bit more like that Colts offense that he had all last cycle. He's not forcing the ball as much as he was, I think, earlier, trying to get the big play with Hill and Dorsett and maybe even Hardman. Maybe that's why he got rid of Hardman. Just too tempting to take the
Self-control.
big shots. Yeah, because he's playing a lot better now that he got rid of him. I don't think any of it has to do with Cam Jordan. So I don't think the trade was great, but it's got his team looking better. Whether maybe a little bit of addition by subtraction there. So I'm going to take Prime. I think he can beat me. And the way my defense is playing, especially pass defense, it's not great. So I'm going to take Prime in this one. That'll then bring. I think we've agreed. Then it's going to be you against Prime in the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
And in that one, I think you'll get Prime. I don't think he's gonna be able to beat you in that one. I know he got you earlier in the season, but I think with Josh Allen and the way you play defense, I think it'll be you over Prime.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. Obviously, it's always fun to play Prime. I've had a lot of fun in the games we've played. He did get me earlier this season. Quick little reminder, it was the first time. I'm sure he'll like that. But no, I think I'm going to take him again, actually. I think, like I said, I think he's going to represent the AFC. Right now, I've got a little bit of patchwork job at safety, which I think might hurt me in this one. Obviously, we put up a lot of points in the game earlier this season. This one will really come down to whether I can contain Whitfield or not. Obviously, earlier this season, I did not. He ran for about 800 yards on me, it felt like. So if I can contain him, I'll be in a good spot. But I think right now, he's just playing a little bit better than me. I think he's got I don't think he has more on defense. He might be maybe playing better defense. But yeah, I'm actually going to take Prime. I'm going to take Prime out of the AFC this season.
Okay. Well, then, since it's you and Prime playing, and I picked you and you picked Prime, I'll defer to you, and we'll say Prime makes the Super Bowl.
There you go.
For this segment, anyway. All right, so that takes us to the NFC, and if I remember right, then that would put us with the Seahawks as the 5 seed playing the 1 seed and QP. I got to go with QP in this one. I know I just said Noel's back, but QP's the 1 seed for a reason. I know they had a similar record. I think it was a 1-game difference. Actually, I don't even think there was a 1-game difference. It might have been a tiebreaker. I just think QP is on a different level right now from the rest of the NFC. And I really think the only reason it's close and why there was only a 1-game difference is that roster.
Yep.
I know he made the NFC Championship game last year, but let's not forget he's still got the Lions.
Yeah.
And he only had 1 draft pick. I know he got Herbert in a trade, so that's a big get. But I don't want to say it's not a big upgrade over Goff, but it's not like a team-changing one where he could have used that pick somewhere else.
Right.
Not knocking the move at all, just saying that the team didn't get that much better picking up Herbert. So it's not that he's got a great team already. He's still got the Lions. That's why I think it's close.
Still working it.
Yeah, but I think he's getting a lot better. The team's getting better, and as the cycle goes on, just having all that draft capital he did in the early part of the season, the cap space, that team's just going to get better. And I think I think this is the season he's going to make a big run.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. He's playing great football in the NFC right now. Team, obviously, like you said, it's not quite there, but so far it really just hasn't mattered. What's been most impressive is how well he's played defense with that team. Yeah. He's taken kind of a bunch of no names and he's just turned them into a bunch of monsters so far. He gets a ton of turnovers. He's got good speed. He's done incredible things with Tanner Muse. So yeah, I'm taking him for sure. Pretty much, almost regardless of who he plays, I'm taking the Lions.
All right, so I'll tell you what, I'll defer to you again, and we'll go with NYT taking on Dump. And I know NYT got him earlier, but I don't want to say playoff Dump is a different animal because he is a different animal. He usually loses. But last season he made a Super Bowl run and he went through QP to get there. And I think he's playing a lot better this year. I think just again that offense is just too good. Kyler Murray is a problem, even with those defensive ends. Kyler Murray's got the escape artist and the speed to get around them, and Dump doesn't have a problem doing that. So I have a feeling it's going to be Dump and QP again in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a common theme for a lot of this cycle. Pretty much regardless of whether this is NYT, whether this is the Packers. I think this is a game where guys are going to be prone into mistakes. That Cardinals defense is fast, and if you're making any mistakes against Dump, he's going to make you pay. Even if the offense isn't moving, all it takes is one turnover and then he throws a bomb and all of a sudden you're behind. So, Dump is just, it's a tough matchup. He's playing well. I would assume that he'll be pretty quiet and focused and ready to roll until he sees Q in the NFC Championship. And so I think he's taking this game against pretty much regardless of who he plays, but against NYT, yeah, taking Dump.
Yeah, and I noticed he was a little more quiet in that game against Dan. He didn't say anything till after the game. I'm wondering if maybe he's going to take another approach and try to just lock in a little more for these games. And if that is what he's doing, it obviously worked against Dan. So it'll be interesting to see what Dump we get for these playoffs.
Yeah.
Just as a side note, I picked Monty to win that first game. I don't think it changed anything if he plays QP and then Noel plays Dump. I think we end up with the same Noel or QP Dump NFC Championship anyway.
I agree.
So in that game, who do you have winning that one?
So this is the one where I think Dump's going to shoot himself in the foot. I think he's going to come out. He's going to be a little cocky. He's going to be excited. He's going to listen to this show. I'm personally going to pick QP. I think that's going to get him fired up. He's going to come out, guarantee victory. Their game was close last playoff. It's not like he came in and blew him out. It was a close game. Q had a couple shots at it, threw a couple picks. I think this year he's got Herbert with the superstar abilities. Again, we've talked about his defense is getting a little better. He's got better receivers this year. Quan Stoudemire running around like crazy in the secondary. So I'm going with the Lions in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions too. And last season, Dump was the 1 seed, and he got by QP. QP this time is the 1 seed. So I'm going to take this as QP's chance to get by him. You saw him win earlier in the season. I just think QP can beat you in more ways. I do like the Dump added Pollard. I think Pollard kind of
Yeah.
opens up his offense, makes it a little more dangerous. Something else you have to watch. I don't think anybody was really concerned with Edmonds and Connor that he
James
had.
Conner,
Yeah,
yeah.
James Conner last season. No real speed there, nothing to be too worried about, and he would get away from the run really early. But now he's got Pollard putting up a lot of yards, putting up. I think he's over 8 yards per carry, only running back in the league with a decent amount of carries
Sheesh.
that's got it that high. Um, so I think that opens up his offense a lot. But I think QP and him, when you play a guy a lot of times, you start to learn each other, and sometimes the records don't matter.
Hmm.
And I don't think that this one's going to matter where they have a disparity in the teams. I think the QP, even with those Lions, they're going to be good enough, and he's going to get by him again.
Yeah.
All right, so then
Yeah, I think what changed it a lot this year is Q's better receivers. Last year he
yeah,
was in this game with Tyrone Johnson and Tyrell Williams.
Quintez
The
Cephas
fact,
or whatever his name was.
yeah, Quintez Cephas running routes out
Yep.
there. So I think that's going to be a big change that we're going to notice pretty quick in that game.
Yeah, I think Q last year had to play a lot of like the I'll call it the Colt offense, where it's your running back and your tight end are your only two real weapons, and everybody else is
Yeah.
just on the field as a decoy. And
Yeah.
this year you can't play him defensively like that and get away with it because he does have more weapons.
Yep.
So that's going to give us then QP and Prime in the Super Bowl. Who do you have in this one?
This will be a good game. I will be very, very excited to watch this one. I think it's a great matchup. Q and Prime have played a couple times before. They've all been good games. I do think Q is going to get one eventually, but I don't think it's going to be this season. As much as it hurts my soul, I think it's Prime. I just think that, again, the weapons on Prime's offense are crazy. And I just don't know that Q's defense is there quite yet. If he gets, the line a little bit better, the defensive line, maybe gets a stud safety or maybe another cornerback, he'll be there. But I think right now it's going to be just not quite enough to contain the Kelseys, the Hills, the Whitfields, Mahomes. It's so many pieces on Prime's offense that he can make you pay with. And I just don't know. I think this is going to be the one where the personnel hurts Q for the first time this playoff.
Yeah, I agree. I think on offense you can kind of cover up personnel deficiencies a little bit by your different route combinations, maybe your stick skills running the ball, something like that. On defense, you control one guy. The other 10 are controlled by the computer, and if they're bad like the Lions, there's only so much you can do, and Prime is really good at picking apart a defense anyway. So if you go in there with a subpar defense, I think it's going to be problems. I think Prime ends up winning this one. I think it ends up close, though. Because
For sure.
Q, I think, has a really good offense. He's really good at moving the ball and putting points on the board. And Prime's defense is as good as he is at getting turnovers. He still gives up a decent amount of yards. He's done actually pretty good this year, but the defense can be moved on. And I think QP will be able to move a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be able to get over that hurdle this year. But like you said, I definitely think he's going to get a championship sometime this cycle. If the NFC is going to win one, I think it's going to be QP.
Yeah, I do think that Q has changed the narrative a little bit. Obviously, for a while it was, is the NFC going to even be capable of getting one? I think for sure Q is going to walk out of here with at least one this cycle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he came in last cycle with the Redskins or Washington, whatever. That Blunt Burner had kind of destroyed that team. I mean, he got him a quarterback, but at what cost? I mean, you had Sweat was gone, Apke was gone. He just killed the team. Obviously, a couple seasons of not developing the rookies didn't help. It's kind of set him back a little bit. And so I'll be interested to see what QP can do with the Lions team that he's had from the beginning too. We'll see what his team building is like and if he can continue on this kind of upward trend of bringing that Lions team around.
Yep.
All right, so that's our picks for the Super Bowl and how these playoffs we think they're going to play out. We got to have something to talk about for the rest of the teams that aren't necessarily in the playoffs. What teams do you think either are going to surprise people next season or need to have like a good off season to kind of make that next step, or what teams maybe in the playoffs do you think are going to fall back?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the NFC North. I think has an answer for both questions. I think as far as teams that's going to fall back, I'm looking at the Packers. 9-7-1 record. It was, like you said, a very bizarre season. I don't know if he has plans to switch up the quarterback, but I know that Mac Jones is not great, um, and that has held this offense back quite a bit. And if you watch them, it's a very you called it the cold offense, the running back and tight end. That is pretty much the Packers. Aaron Jones has 20 touchdowns in the season, almost 2,000 yards, almost 300 rushing attempts. So he wants to force the ball to him. His tight end though is what you have to look at. This passing attack, yikes. It is spam city over here with this guy Wright. He has 74 receptions for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. Those are Raider numbers at tight end. So I think that's a team that could be kind of easy to figure out. Obviously, we know the defense is not quite there. And I'm looking at D-Muse as the team who I think could sneak in and take that spot. Obviously, missed it by a game this season. We're seeing him get better and better as time goes on. With Kellen Mond this season, he limited the pick numbers, 27 touchdowns, 17 picks. Dalvin Cook is going to be a monster all cycle. He can develop a defense. We saw him do it last season with the Panthers. I think this is a team that, playing a third place schedule next year could pick up a couple extra wins and sneak in there and take that wild card spot away.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The division I'm going to look at actually is it's your division, and I think that we're going to see a somewhat major shakeup in that division. I don't think we're going to see the Bills go anywhere. I think you're going to stay at the top of the division. I don't think anybody expects any different for the rest of the cycle for that. But that 2, 3, 4 spot, I think right now it's what meets
Beans and then DW.
And then DW. DW is kind of an enigma. He went from started out great last season, made the playoffs, had a nice little run. Of course, I had his pick, so maybe that's why he did it. And then this season, he's at the bottom of the division. But I think he's going to pick it up. I'm gonna say, and it's not a playoff team falling out, but I think Meats may never make the playoffs the rest of the cycle. That'll be like my bold prediction. That Meats has seen his last playoff game last season, because right now I don't even think he's going to be the second best team in the AFC East. You've got Bean looking fairly good with Matthew Stafford. The Patriots roster, let's not forget, this is a 32nd team. I'll call them picked, but really they weren't even picked. They were just what was left. He's got Stafford. I don't think that's going to be his solution at quarterback. I know his defense is aging a little bit, but he plays pretty well. And what he's doing with Damian Harris is pretty impressive. Matt's brought it up a bunch that, he's averaging over 7 yards per carry. Harris was not a great running back compared to most of the running backs in the league. I think if he can kind of flip him for a Fig type deal with Brandon Jacobs, I think he can make that team talent-wise a lot better, and then he can take any running back he wants and do the same thing with them, and maybe he gets better abilities anyway. He's got to figure out the quarterback position, I think, and maybe find another receiver. He's got Malik Craig, who he seems to like at receiver, and Alan Lazard is there. I mean, these are cast-offs that really weren't anything anywhere else, and he's playing decent with them. He had a slow start, but he ended up, I think he ended up with like 6 wins. So it's not great, but I think he's going to jump to that number 2 spot in the AFC East, and I think the DW and Meats thing, they're going to be kind of battling for that 3rd spot, but DW had Meats twice this season and kind of let him off the hook at the end of the game, and I think if he cleans that up, Meats is looking at the bottom of the NFC or AFC East.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting division to play in. Bringing up Beans, he had a couple of big wins this season too. He beat Q in Week 16 in what was an important game for Q. So you can't say that Q was resting starters or he wasn't fully into it. He really kind of needed that game.
Yeah, he almost knocked him out of the 1 seed.
Yep. Yeah, yep. So this is a guy. He's dangerous. He played Spades very close. He played Matt very close, who obviously we've seen plenty of good games out of Matt. Outside of the slow start, I think Beans really has shown there's a lot of growth here. So, he looks interesting. Obviously, we've seen DW play a lot better than he did this season. He's now going to have another high pick to, either add another good offensive piece, but we've already seen him develop that defense very well. So it's going to be interesting to see this division play out. As far as an AFC team for myself, I'm looking at Matt and the Steelers. Obviously, a lot has been talked about, pretty much only pertaining to his quarterback. But even with said bad quarterback, 10-7 record, came in third in the AFC North. But there's potential here too. We've seen Matt make the playoffs before. We've seen him make a Super Bowl before. Haskins, I don't think is quite as much an issue as some others seem to think, you included.
Yep.
I think he can still be okay just because of who he is. Only missed the playoffs by a game, and we have to remember that he also, benched his true love for a game due to peer pressure. Immediately played terrible, and I believe lost that game with the rookie. So, there's some potential here. I think in the AFC, if we see a shakeup, I think we could see Matt sneaking into a playoff spot next season.
All right, NFC.
I didn't leave you with much. I'm sorry.
No, there's not much there. I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna say Grams.
Oh, actually, I was gonna say we're missing the one blatantly obvious answer, but we might want to maybe we'll avoid that topic for today.
Yeah, since nobody knows what to make of that team in Florida, we'll leave them alone. But Grams, I don't know if he's gonna win the division because I think NYT is playing well enough to win the division, at least for most seasons. I don't think he's going to sweep the cycle. But next year, I think maybe we see a different Grams. I know he picked that running back, and for whatever reason, he wanted to die on that hill this year. But I think at some point he realized he's got to go back to Zeke. Zeke averages a lot more yards, or last I looked, it was a lot more yards. I think it was like a whole yard and a half more per carry. The guy's got abilities. He's got freight train. All I see in chat is freight train's overpowered, and what's Grams do? He benches him. So I think at some point he's going to go back to Zeke. We saw him get a little fired up last night, apparently over some Monty stuff. So maybe that is like the kick in the ass that Grams needed to kind of get back and just kind of make some noise. He almost beat Spades last night. Spades is not a guy you can just walk into a game and just think you're going to win and walk out with the W. You got to actually kind of lock in and focus to play him. And so Graham's coming out close. I think that might be a sign that Graham's is going to be on the upswing for next season. And who knows, maybe we see Graham's, Noel, Future, all the guys that we kind of worried about last season or last cycle. They all make a push next season. But I think Graham's is going to improve.
Yeah, for sure. This team, they're a team in a very good spot. Looking at his secondary, he's got, at the corner spots, 93, 95, 94 speed, 22 star, 21, I believe star. It's currently undisclosed on my Madden. 26 star. So, a lot of good pieces out there. That's without even using Trayvon Diggs, who's going to be a monster next Madden. Unfortunately, it doesn't help him much now. Superstar Keanu Neil, he's got a good defensive line with Micah Parsons. Obviously, we know he's offensive pieces. So, this is a team that should be able to make a push. It's a winnable division that, at least can get him some, even if he doesn't win it, some wins towards the wild card. And the NFC is wide open. So, I could certainly agree with that call there.
The only thing that worries me, though, is if the best player available at his pick is a wide receiver, a running back.
Probably going to take him.
Quarterback. Yeah, he's gonna, maybe best player available. You don't need to go right away. Let's fill some of those holes and improve the team first, especially not replacing our X Factor running back. But I think Grams is poised to make a step forward, and in that, like you said, in that NFC, they had 3 9-win teams get in. I think he could be one of those teams next season.
Yeah, anything can happen out there, that's for sure.
All right, so we're a little short of our usual. We're right at about 40 minutes, but I think that's all we have planned for this one.
Yeah, and 40 minutes is still pretty good. We still retain our crown as the longest podcast in the SML network.
All right, guys, this has been Heat Check. Don't forget, you've got fantasy football coming up in the playoffs. We've got SML trivia coming up in the off season. We're going to try and get as many games commentated as possible during the playoffs. So if anybody's available to commentate, we can always use help getting those games done. And tonight, actually, at I'm going to guess between 10:15 and 10:30 will be the playoffs kicking off with Noel facing Woods, Carolina and Seattle, 10:30 SML Network on Twitch, and it'll be commentated myself and Prime. So make sure you guys tune in. This has been Heat Check. Faz, good luck in the playoffs.
You as well.
Hopefully we'll meet each other at some point.
Yeah, hopefully.
And till next season, this has been Heat Check.